Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Not As I Do podcast with me, Tanaye White. Happy New Year, everyone! It is January of 2025. We are just a few days from Donald Trump being in the White House once again. We're just a few weeks away from the final decision on if TikTok will be banned from the United States of America. We are also on the heels of several terroristic events that have happened over the last 3 days. I'm filming this. What's today? Today's January 4th. We're barely 4 days into the new year, and we have so much going on. I have intentionally chosen to not watch the news for the last couple of weeks. I've been off of work, and I have decided that I am not going to pay attention to the news right now, because when I return to work, I am going to have to do that as a part of being knowledgeable of my job and doing it effectively. So for now, I'm in my cocoon and I'm really not focused on any of that right now. But I do know that I've been trying to figure out a word to describe what I want to achieve in 2025. 2024 was rise. That year really became exactly that, a year of me coming into my own as a full functioning, stable, employed, and healthy adult. I finally feel like I'm on the right path. I have great footing. This is the happiest I've been in such a long time, years. And I'm just really thankful to be in 2025 with this light heart and light energy and optimism. I haven't had this type of fearlessness in a long time. So I think that's actually going to be my word for 2025, fearless. I was thinking of a word that would encompass my determination to really do something pivotal this year, while also maintaining my consistency with all of these projects that I have. For those of you who don't know, I have this podcast, of course. I also have my full-time job in DC. I also have my creator / influencing that I do. I also have modeling that I do. Not as much as I used to like a year ago, but still modeling as well. So I have a lot of ventures, and that is also not to include my mental wellness business, Feel Good Babe Incorporated, which is something I really want to lean into more this year. Feel Good Babe is a mental wellness organization supporting young women and girls on their mental health journey, and we focus on supporting the mental health and growth of girls in their prepubescent and preteen years, so helping them through their hormonal cycle and just the experiences of what becoming a woman entails and providing the support along the way. So that's something that I'm really excited to really lean into and focus on building this year. 2024 was a lot of behind the scenes work. Shout out to AI. I've been using ChatGPT to develop the ideas for products that I really think can be most effective for young girls, because I don't want to put a product out there in the mental wellness space that isn't of quality and that isn't effective. The whole point of me pursuing this venture is to help others. So I don't want to put out something that's bullshit. So I've been brainstorming with the help of artificial intelligence. That mixed with me reading books, one book in particular by a mentor friend of mine that has really opened my eyes to what this business can look like. All of that mixed together has landed me in this perfect position for me to continue that business in a greater way. So I'm really excited for this year. I would love to know what you guys have planned for this year in 2025. I would also love to know what word you have to describe 2025. Like I said, my word is fearless. Tell me what yours is. And tell me why, too. I also did just want to call out how great I look. And I want to call it out because some of you may not know that this podcast is both visual and audio. Both visual and audio. So I don't know why that was so difficult for me to spurt out. But yeah, so I look good. And I also want to toot myself because I spent 6 hours between last night and this morning and afternoon doing my own hair. And this is the most successful Bantu knot look I've ever done in my life. I think I tried to do Bantu knots like twice in my life, like back in the early aughts, and it was a disaster, and I looked like I was not from this earth. It just wasn't satisfactory. But I'm really proud of this. I added in braiding hair to get the differentiating colors. This only took 6 hours, and I say yes only because when I tried to do boho twists on my hair in, I believe it was July of this year, it took me 3 days. 3 days. 3 days. Not 3 hours, not 3 minutes, not 3 seconds. 3 days. I'm really proud of myself, so patting myself on the back for that. But yes, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Not As I Do will be hosted on my YouTube channel, Tanaye Dubs. You can find the entire series. Right now we are on episode 4, and I can't wait for you guys to see what else we have this year. But yes, I look good, and I would like for you to see me just as much you like to listen to me. So please help me get these numbers up. Help me get in front of more eyes. And yeah, your support means everything. Also, do me a favor and like this podcast. Whatever listening device or tool you're using, just give me a thumbs up, like, subscribe, leave a positive review if you can. All the help goes a long way. This is a passion project, but it's also a project that I hope can help others, especially when it comes to mental health. I cover everything from mental health to pop culture. But at the end of the day, it's all things that relate back to how we feel. My goal in this life, I've said it many, many times in many, many different interviews, my simple goal in life is I just want to save a life. And over the years, there's people who have told me how my words and my testimony have helped them. So I know that I am doing and I'm fulfilling my life's mission and my life's work. But this podcast is one of the extensions of that. All the help goes a long way. This is a passion project, but it's also a project that I hope can help others, especially when it comes to mental health. I cover everything from mental health to pop culture. But at the end of the day, it's all things that relate back to how we feel. And I feel like now more than ever, this year, people need to be more in touch with their feelings. They need to understand what they're feeling. So I just want to help the best I can. And maybe I can bring a chuckle to your throat as well. Why did I say that? A chuckle to your throat? Why does that sound sexual? Bring a smile to your face along the way. So yeah, thank you for your support. And let's head into the vibe check. All right, so for this week, the vibe check is y'all. No. And the reason I'm checking y'all is because we collectively, I'm going to include myself in this, we collectively have been missing the mark as a community of humans. There are things that should go without saying. And I'm finding that we as humans are regressing. Yes, we are regressing. We are heading back to the times of the Neanderthals. We are becoming a species of beasts with no decorum. What point is there in having opposable thumbs if we can't even use the blessings upon us appropriately? So how about for this first episode of 2025, I come to you as a wake-up call. Now, let me just clarify. I am not holier than thou by any means. I am no angel. I am not perfect. I've lived many lives. I've made many mistakes. That is actually the point of this podcast. Not as I do. As in, do as I say, not as I do. Learn from me because I went through it. Take my word for it. That is the whole point of this podcast. Take my word for it. You don't need to second guess it. Just, I've been there. I seen it. I looked. You know what I mean? It's sort of like a metaphor where it's like, I am walking to a cliff, right? This mental health cliff. And I've been at the complete edge of this cliff. I've stood wavering in the wind on the edge of this cliff. That is my mental health. At one point, I put one foot out. Actually, a couple of times. I've put my foot out to fall. But some power, which I deem to be a guardian angel, saved me. Not once, but twice. And I am so thankful. And I would love to help people avoid the pain that I felt. I have also found that one of my callings in life is for me to just be vulnerable. I have seen the most success in my life, especially when it comes to my online persona, when I have been most vulnerable. And although it is nerve-wracking at times to be vulnerable, I've never regretted it, and I've decided to lean into it. That's what Not As I Do is about. But anyways, going back to checking, y'all. Like I said, I am not holier than thou, but I've been through a few things. Surprise, surprise. Man, I have lived many lives. But yeah, I think collectively, regardless of me even being here, I would just like to shout it out into the universe because I think we can collectively agree these are things that we should be implementing in 2025. Men, hi. You should be walking on the outside of the sidewalk when you are with your partner. When you're with your lady, you should be on the outside of the sidewalk. That is just how it is. I'm sure I could Google it. I'm sure you could Google it right now and understand the history of the safety, whatever aspects of it. Pardon, I don't know the terminology, but you should always be on the outside of the sidewalk. It is a part of chivalry. It is a part of protecting your woman. It is a part of manhood. My uncles have implemented that to their sons, my cousins, and I have great examples in life of men. And they all live by this rule. I also have many male friends and male figures in my life who implement this rule. This should not be debatable. Ever. So ask whoever you need to ask. But yes, walk on the outside of the sidewalk. Also, everybody, when's the last time you got yourself checked? What is your STI status? If you have to think more than 5 seconds of the date of when you last got that, it's time to get the ball rolling, sweetie. Yeah, we're not playing with our life anymore. The pandemic taught us something. It told us not to play with our lives. So let's not act stupid. What's the last TV show you've watched? Great. What's the last book you've read? 5-second rule. You're late. Read a book. This technological stuff is messing with our minds, is shortening our attention spans. It's time to flip a page. You can do it digitally on an iPad if you need to, but you need to have something in your hand other than your phone. Please. A book, an actual book, not an audio book. I need your eyes to be... Read a book. There's a song, perfect song. Read a book, read a book, read a motherfucking book. Exactly that. READABO, okay? Exactly. Read a book, okay? There is a reason, there is a reason that people have risked their lives to learn how to read. Do not take that for granted, that privilege that you have. Especially since they're over here lighting books on fire. Hello, wake up. What else? Oh, and on that topic, wear a condom. Stop risking your health. Stop playing Russian roulette with baby making. Stop having these uh-ohs. It is literally preventable. It is preventable. It is preventable. Wear the condom. Wear the condom. Thank you. All right. When's the last time you called your mother? Let's change that. This should be something that we have in our calendar consistently, in rotation. Life is so short. If you are blessed with a good parent or guardian or loved one who has done so much for you, and maybe you just haven't even told them how much they mean to you, now's the time to do it. Now's the time to start showing appreciation for those who are still in our lives, those who have survived the last 4 years, those who are about to head into 2025 through this wild experience, like we all are. It's time to lean into your people, lean into your community, be a part of your community. Wake up, lift your head up when you're walking down the sidewalk. Take the headphones out for just a moment and turn the music off. That's something that I implemented the end of last year. I love music so much. I always have my Beats buds in my ears, but I felt disconnected in a way that the city does when you are no longer in close proximity to nature. When I go back home to my parents who live by the beach, I feel recharged. When I'm back here in the city, it takes me a lot longer to recharge. So any moment that I can have to hear anything nature-like, the wind blowing, the trees rustling, listening to my steps, those all do help me get centered. Those are all, for me, a form of grounding. I love to ground in the summer. I have videos on my Instagram and TikTok of me walking barefoot in Central Park. It's one of my favorite things to do in the summer. Bring a book, wear a bikini, tan in the grass, watch the gays in their tight swim trunks, having the best time, playing the best music, and I'm sitting on the perimeter. Life is good. I'm getting a slight tan. Sorry, I got off topic, my bad. Get yourself together, please. Call your mama, call your daddy, call your brother, call your sister. And then if you have any toxic people in your life, this is the year to also make the decision to either cut ties or continue to suffer. We have most certainly learned what a red flag looks like. It's time. It's draining you. It's time. Make the decision. Walk into your happiness. Choose happiness. Choose the condom. Choose happiness. I think we can all relate to this. Get rid of the underwear with the holes in them. Stop buying polyester underwear. That's why your coochie stink. Oh, stop being on your phone in places where you should never be on your phone, aka the movie theater. I just watched this TikTok of a woman who was expressing, a pregnant woman at that, who was at the Rockettes show in New York City, and there was a row of mothers ahead of her who were on their phone, screen brightness up, and talking incredibly loud the entire time. When the show ended, everybody in the area said something to them. And their husbands didn't say anything to them, which is an interesting detail that I don't really want to get into. But have some respect. Have some decorum. Chew with your mouth closed. I unfortunately had to debate with someone about this the other day. Chew with your mouth closed. Chew with your mouth closed. There's no reason your food should be spitting out onto my plate. Your breath is hot. Brush your teeth. How are you in the club popping bottles, but yet I'm seeing you laugh. You're on the booth. Life is good. You raise your hands. You got a bottle of Henny. Up. You reach up. Yeah. Happy. You're laughing. Big grin. Mouth wide open. And I can see a row of black teeth. You can drop $2,000 on a night of 2 bottles of Henny and 2 lights dancing around with them. But you have yet to spend nearly that much time or money on your dental work. And this is not me being rude. Quite literally, infections in your mouth and your teeth can impact your brain. They impact your brain, bruh. This is your life. This is your health. Take your life seriously. Stop drinking colored soda, especially if you live in America. We already know now, there's like 10 documentaries out now expressing how these chemicals in these sodas are banned in every other country on this planet. Wake up. Stop being selectively ignorant to taking care of your health. Taking care of your health means taking care of your health. Find a therapist, which I'm so excited to show you today in this episode, because so many people, when I share with them my own personal testimonies with mental health and therapy, they ask me how I found my therapist. And I think this would be the perfect time for me to share a detailed and easy to follow way to find your therapist. It is the largest library of psychotherapists and mental health doctors on the internet, if I'm not mistaken. It's called Psychology Today, and it literally is easier than online dating. It's so simple, it's so direct, it's so forward. You can literally find your perfect person, and people aren't aware of it. You can put your budget into it. You can find people in your specific network for healthcare. You can choose a Black therapist specifically. You can choose an Indigenous therapist. There's so many different aspects that you can specifically narrow in on. You can find therapists who specifically support those who are recovering from childhood trauma, or those who are neurodivergent, or just discovering they're neurodivergent. You can find your psychiatrist. That's how I found my psychiatrist. It's incredible. It's how I found my therapist. She's incredible. I am not sponsored in saying this, but yeah, I'm going to make sure you start this year off right. So I'm going to give you a tutorial in our deep dive. But yeah, find the doctors that you need. Your PCP sucks? Okay, come on. Let's go to ZocDoc and find one that you like. I'm speaking to myself. Because I had an uncomfortable experience with this doctor who I scoured the internet to find. She's a Black woman, and I just felt so uncomfortable, and I felt really surprised by her terrible bedside manners, especially given that she has an extensive background, and like really dug my research. I know where she went to college, she got her master's, all of these things, and I was just so off put by the fact that I did my due diligence to ensure that I had a good experience with a doctor, and I was still let down. But that is a conversation for another day. Oh yeah, and wear a condom. All right, y'all, so as promised, this week's deep dive will actually be a tutorial where I help you navigate through Psychology Today, which is one of the largest, if not the largest, resource to find therapists online. They have a huge library of professionals who are perfect for helping you and helping you achieve the goals that you want to achieve for your mental health. And this site has only legitimate professionals. Other apps, unfortunately, cannot say that, and I will forever have my foot on the neck of BetterHelp. Count your days. But with that being said, the therapist that I've had for over a year now, she is amazing. I pray for her success often. The transformation that I've had over the last year plus has been in many thanks to her and her guidance in helping me analyze the behaviors that I display and learning how to change them for the better, or acknowledging them and doing my best to manage them. And I think I am such a better person for it. I've also learned how to establish stronger boundaries that I don't often fluctuate like I used to. For boundaries that allow me to be present for both myself, a whole, full, not tired, happy self, while also leaning into my loved ones who care about me just as much. So, with that being said, Psychology Today is incredible. It's how I found my incredible therapist, and I want to take away the stigma that therapy and seeking therapists is traumatizing, like it often is when you're searching for a good dentist or searching for a good doctor or primary care provider. I know how frustrating it can be to do so much research thinking that you found an incredible primary care provider, only to be disappointed with your checkup that you have, and then you don't really have to worry about them until the next year. So now you're just sort of stuck in this loophole of this primary care provider because you don't really prioritize finding another person because you don't really need to unless you get sick. This is not like that. I like to often compare finding a therapist to finding a date off of a dating app. Just as you would go on Hinge or Bumble and put in your specific characteristics that you would want in a significant other or just someone who you're trying to get to know for the time being, you can do that on Psychology Today. I've never seen a website do it as good as this website. And so I want to bring everyone into this space. It's the new year. It's 2025. We're no longer allowing fear to take hold of us, okay? So what we're going to do is I'm going to help you navigate through this tool. Like I said before, this episode is best seen rather than heard because I will be doing a lot of visual displays. So if you are listening to me on audio, I ask that you pause this episode right here and play it again on an iPad or your laptop or where you have free time and you can watch this episode. But otherwise, for those of you who are seeing this, let's go ahead and get started. So this is Psychology Today. Just go to psychologytoday.com and you'll find it. The first thing I wanted to point out about this website is that in the top right corner, if you click on it, you can actually customize your search engine to the country that you reside in or want to get support in. So obviously mine is set to the United States, but they have Canada, Mexico, Costa Rica, Panama, Guatemala, Puerto Rico, United Kingdom, Denmark, Spain, Sweden, France, Austria, Belgium, Switzerland, Colombia, New Zealand, Hong Kong, Chile, Uruguay, Peru, Argentina, South Africa. Like, hello. This is for the world. This is for the world. This search engine is for the world. Okay, let's get started. So let's say there's a hypothetical scenario for me, myself, a 32-year-old Black woman who has a history of anxiety, depression, and suicidal ideation, and who is seeking a therapist. Let's say that is our hypothetical scenario. You can make your scenario akin to you, but this will be mine for the example of this week's episode. So you scroll down and you type in your zip code. I'm not going to type in my specific zip code for safety reasons, so let me put in my childhood zip code. Boom. You put in the zip code here, and then before you click enter, you also see that there's this drop-down menu to the left where you can determine if you want to find a therapist, a psychiatrist, treatment centers, like if you're overcoming addiction, and support groups, which I think is amazing. So for this situation, I would need a therapist, but I have also found my psychiatrist on Psychology Today as well. So again, a great resource for finding exactly what you need. Okay, so let's put my childhood town, Southington, Connecticut. Now here, what I love about this website is as you scroll, you get a lay of the land, you see a photo, you see a name, and you can send an email, or you can view more about their profile, right? Okay. Very straightforward, right? Exactly. See, that's not so bad, right? Ooh, hold on, let me get back. Okay. Now, let's say for me, I am Black, and I think it's important to have a therapist who understands the experiences of Black people. So I want to filter this list of, I don't even think it tells you how many that they've sourced through. Let's see. More than 10 pages of people and or centers that can help me find a therapist. Something that they also provide towards the bottom of the first page that you land on after implementing your zip code is a comparison of how your therapist may compare to those in the area that you have just entered. So, number of therapists in my hometown, 100 plus. Average cost per session, $150. Average years in practice. Most therapists, they said on average, have experience of 11 years. They also go through a list of all of the skill sets that they specialize in. They also address insurances, as well as the gender of these therapists and if they're in person or online. So it's a really simple and direct breakdown, which is very helpful if you're trying to get a assessment of what it may cost you to start your journey, your mental health journey. So I think that this box in particular, the average cost per session, is really helpful. But yeah, let's say I want a therapist who's female. Boom. Select it. Easy, right? I want a therapist because I travel a lot. I have to do it online. Boom. They filtered it out to female therapists online who can provide teletherapy to me in my hometown, right? Let's say I need to narrow it down to as what I asked for before. Black and African American, boom, it's right at the top, probably because I've looked for this before. But Black and African American, now I can find a therapist who provides teletherapy who is Black and a woman. I've narrowed down the pool so much. It was that simple, and all it took was, 10 seconds? That's incredible. Now, for those of you who come from varying backgrounds, let's say maybe you identify differently and want a therapist who also can help you with that. You can choose a non-binary therapist. It says no exact matches. Okay, and they even tell you no exact matches in this area. However, I'm sure if I put in my New York City address, you would find plenty. But they do keep you aware of that. So that's actually very helpful. This is very much a trial and error. Love it. I acknowledge these bubbles at the top, but I actually want to just go through the actual filter itself. So you have the gender, you have online, in person, and available. Some therapists are at full capacity and they're not accepting new clients, so this would be something of importance as well. But for the sake of this, I won't check this because it does narrow down your options. But know that if you're looking to have therapy like this week, this is a bubble that you would want to check. Now, as I mentioned before, they allow you to narrow down your therapist selection by specialty. So if you click on show more, you can see all of the different specialties that they have available. Therapists who specialize in domestic abuse, drug abuse, postpartum, women's issues, weight loss, video game addiction, if you're a veteran, if you have narcissistic personality disorder, male issues, medication management, medical detox. If you're looking for a marriage counselor, you can find it on this website. If you're looking for someone to help you, let's say you're an athlete, sports performance, you're stressed out because you're not performing well, they have the ability to narrow down a therapist for you who specializes in that. I've never even heard of that in my life, even though it would make sense to exist, but I've never even thought of that. And yeah, I see it right here. I definitely could have used this back in college when I was a collegiate athlete. Racial identity. There's so many situations that would make sense for you to start seeking therapy. We all know life is not linear and it can be a challenge. I remember, not this past summer, but the summer before, I was standing outside of Everyday People waiting for my friend. And this man walked by me, struck up a conversation with me, and he asked me what I did. I said, I'm a mental health advocate. And he said, oh, why do you need a therapist? And initially my reaction was like, who are you talking to all up in my business like that? But then I recognize, as he would then detail on, some people just aren't aware that there's other emotions than happiness. that people experience, some at a constant. And so I sort of gave him a little background about my own experiences, and I felt like he walked away being so much more aware of, mental health in all of its facets. You can have a perfect life, nothing go wrong, and there's still something here for you, so that you can receive the therapy to help you process through the thoughts of life. You don't have to be suffering to find a therapist. Just wanted to throw that out there. But yeah, you'll see the therapists for gambling, grief, hoarding. At one point, I did think I was a hoarder, so they have that here. Cancer, for those of you who are fighting cancer, overcoming cancer, maybe a cancer survivor. They have the entire spectrum in this specialty section. As we drop down further, they also provide you with a list of insurances that are recognized through this search engine. So you can select whomever. Here, let's say I want United Healthcare. Boom. They say, oh, I only have one therapist. So maybe I have to let's say this is the situation right now, right? I have United Healthcare. I haven't chosen any specialties, but there is a therapist who is female and she is Black. This would be the situation where they tell me, oh, and I have United Healthcare. They would tell me here, show one therapist who fits all of that criteria, right? So then I click on the button and they tell me who it is. Hey, Victoria. She is a clinical social work therapist. She is verified, she is endorsed, and here you can see I can reach out to her. So what I will want to do at this point is click on her name to read her full profile. And this is very important when you're seeking your therapist, because this is sort of like their dating profile. You get to learn more about them. It's very easy to tell when there's people who have used ChatGPT to write their paragraphs, and it's also very easy to tell when they threw it together last minute and there's typos and words that should never have typos. This will all help you determine the experience that you will receive from your therapist. Very much how you would judge a man if he had dirt under his nails while on the first date. And you would, make note of that. This is what you need to do with these paragraphs that these therapists and professionals that they enlist. Okay? So I'll just read through her profile quickly. Do you feel overwhelmed with life's daily stressors, past trauma, causing you to feel stuck and helpless, uncertain of the direction of your future, or maybe you just need someone to talk to? Seeking help is a huge step, so congrats to you for taking this leap. As a LCSW, I'm here to help. I aspire to create, allow me to help you manage it. Okay, so after I read this, I would determine, okay, she definitely had ChatGPT write this. It's not personal. However, it's written very well. So I'd be like, okay, this is a contender. So I would make note of this page, right? Make note of it. No matter if I have to make a new tab with that profile specifically, I want to make note of this page because she is a professional who falls into all of the categories that I'm seeking. Now I can look into more about her. I see the location of her office. I can view her website. Let's see. Boom. Here's the website where she works at. Blossoming Butterflies LLC. Lovely. I can learn more about her business here. There she is. This is her business. Love that. I can also see the cost of her session. So because I have United Healthcare, she accepts United Healthcare, but without healthcare, my session would cost $120 per session. So that's another thing I'd have to make note. Can I afford to pay $120 a week to meet with this therapist? What if your budget is less than that? At that point, you're going to have to determine, do you want to push your budget so that you can afford this specific therapist who can support your needs? Or does this now count this therapist out of your selection? So these are all details that you can determine from this page. You see the boxes that she checks, and then as you scroll down, you can find more information. Payments accepted, other insurance providers that she accepts, her qualifications when she was verified, And where? Licensed by the state of Connecticut, blah, blah, blah. It's so great. You can also see who endorsed her. Tara Sheets, who also is a clinical social worker, who lives in Grand Rapids. I wonder how they know each other. But see, this is more information that you can find. Maybe they went to school together. See here, Victoria also focuses on children from 6 to 10, teens and adults and elders. So she covers the spectrum. She can work with kids. She can also work with adults. She also, it says, focuses on individuals as well as couples and families. So she covers a wide spectrum. So based off of that information, I would say, yes, Victoria is out of my budget. However, she covers a lot of things that would support me. So I would keep that in the back of my mind to see if I want to contact her. Let's say I do want to contact her after assessing all of the people who I've scoured for in Connecticut who accept my insurance. I click email me. Once you click email me, you're going to enter your name, your email address, your phone number, and your subject. Your computer should remember this information over and over again, so you can just bloop with a click of a button. What I like to do at this point is write a templated message. I like to keep it warm but also brief because this is something that I'm going to be sending to each therapist to let them know that I'm seeking therapy. And they also tell you here that there's a 200-word maximum, so I can't be giving them my life story all in this one email. So typically what I would say is, and what I like to do is, I like to open up a new note. And then I like to write my email. So I would say something along the lines of, hi, my name is Tanaye, and I'm looking, actually I don't need to put my name because she already sees my name. I finally decided to take my first steps on my mental health journey. I've experienced childhood trauma, sexual trauma, and severe depression, hoping to find a therapist who can help me heal and find happiness again. Looking forward to your response. Then I would copy it, save it in my note, because I'm going to paste that for every single therapist that I have an interest in. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is close out of this. Let's say I send it, of course. And you also get an email copy confirming who you sent this email to. So I won't have a copy of what you sent to them. So let's say if you change up these messages, you won't have a way of tracking them necessarily. So that's why I like to send a templated response to everyone. But you will get an email confirmation of which professional you reached out to. So just in case you lose track of all the people that you have reached out to, you have an email history. Let's say I want someone who also specializes in people who have ADHD and also have depression and also, what did I say? What was my example? Sex abuse. I also said childhood trauma, but I don't see anything specifically for that. They do have child, but I don't have a child, so that doesn't apply. Dementia, drug abuse. I'll just use all of these selections right now. Okay, so let's say suicidal ideation too. Okay, so they have identified 5 therapists nearby who can take me. Okay, so they have Hot Brook Counseling Center, Cameron's Counseling, Rhonda L. Watt de Jesus, SM Psychology, Guiding Minds, and then they have some others, but these are the ones that have been identified. Let's say, oh, look, I was looking for a Black therapist. Rhonda's Black. And she also falls into all of these filters that I've decided. Click on her name, read her profile. For the sake of time, I'm not going to read her profile, but let's say I want to meet with her too to see if we could be a good fit, okay? So now we have Rhonda and Victoria. I've sent an email to Rhonda, the one that we've templated. I've sent it to Rhonda and Victoria. And what I will do is I will ask them if they have time to meet in the next week for a preliminary interview. They don't call it that. They usually say like a intake interview or intake meeting, whatever it is. Just say you would like to meet and learn more about their practice, right? And then from there, similar to dating, you set up the date, you attend the date. Before you go into this meeting, you should have a list of questions that you want to ask to the therapist, each therapist. And what you want to do is you want to write their responses after each meeting, not during. Don't make it look like, be respectful. Don't be like, making it look like you're scrutinizing them, pay attention. But afterwards, write down things that you noted. How often do you think we should meet? Do you specialize in people who experience childhood trauma? Do you specialize in people who have ADHD? What is the best course of action that you would recommend because of XYZ experience I've had? They often start the conversation by asking you to introduce yourself and what inspired you to pursue therapy, which often helps them determine what to share with you in their practice and how they operate. But ultimately, you're asking them questions like you're dating. Like, yo, this is a commitment for a certain amount of time. Ideally, it would be for a long, extended period of time. So yes, take this seriously. Ask them questions. You shouldn't leave with any questions. There's nothing in your mind that you ask yourself. Should you then say, I don't know? Because you should have asked them in this meeting. So do that. Okay? That's exactly what I did. When I found the therapist that I have now, I had found, I believe it was 12 therapists who I felt could be great for me. I did both male and female. Some people were Black, some people were white. Some were older, some looked like they were honestly younger than me. But I interviewed all of them. And from there, I thought about it. I also, at the time, was looking for a Christian counselor. So one of them actually had like a Christian counseling focus, met with them as well. And then after, meeting with everyone within that week's time or so, sitting back, looking through all of my notes and determining who made me feel the most comfortable, who made me feel the most seen, who seemed the most warm, who could I picture myself with. And then from there, respond to said person, say, thank you so much. I would love to move forward. How can we schedule a time to meet next? And then you go from there. And then you try, week by week. Some therapists may recommend you meet weekly, others multiple times a week, some bi-weekly. It's all depending on your journey, your mental health journey. Don't be overwhelmed or intimidated by the idea that you have to stick with this person forever. You don't. When you, let's say, switch jobs and you have different health insurances, maybe you have to switch therapists at that point because you can't afford it out of pocket. That is a reality. That's happened. Or maybe you move states and your therapist isn't licensed in the state that you're in. That's reality. You're not tied down to these professionals. The goal is to simply, with God's divine timing, identify the therapists that you've actively sought out to help you heal. The goal is to help you heal. So you are doing your best job that you can do to find your therapist and heal. And that's something that you should have no doubts about. You can remain steadfast and confident in the fact that you sought out this therapist. You know exactly what they specialize in. You know their how the way they operate, the methods that they use on their clients, and the next steps forward to help you in you getting more aligned. That's it. That was the deep dive. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next episode. We're going to skip a mindful mantra this week just because we are screen recording mode. But yeah, I'm so excited for this new year for you, and next week we will be talking about more ways to help you with your mental health. Love y'all. Bye.